So hello students, good morning once again. Today, before moving forward in this chapter solid state, I had almost discussed 60% 70% of the chapter. A very few points are left. So before I move forward, let us revise. In this lecture, let us revise the things with what we have learned as on date. Let us take a crisp revision of the things. Let us move step by step. First thing I told about solids. As we all know that matter exists in three different states: solids, liquids and gases, and all the three states of matter has got their own characteristics. As far as solids are concerned, solids are characterized by fixed shape, fixed volume, high density, uncompressible nature. These are the properties that are of solids. These are the properties of solids that are visible from the outside. They have got a fixed shape, they have got a fixed volume, they are uncompressible, and their densities are very high as compared to that of liquids or gases. Then among the solids also, densities vary to a large extent. These are the properties that are visible from the outside. If we go by the inner structure of a solid, there are two things that is to be kept in the mind. First, their intermolecular forces of attraction that are acting between two particles, they are very high, and intermolecular spaces are very less. Say for example, this is the structure of a solid, where these circles which I am drawing actually represents the constituent particles of the solid. So the force of attraction that operates between two molecule or more molecule is quite high. It is so high that molecular motion is almost impossible, and molecules only can vibrate along their mean positions. They cannot change their positions at all, and that results in the fixed shape and fixed volume of the solids. Intermolecular spaces are very less, and because of which further compression of solids is actually not possible. These particles, they are present in a so close proximity with each other. If we try to further compress between them, if the space between them is further reduced, attractive forces changes to repulsive forces, and this results in the high density, their uncompressible region, and since intermolecular forces are quite high, so large amount of energies are required to separate them, and they generally have got high tensile strength. Their melting points are very high. So matter exists in three different states: solids, liquids and gases, and solids are characterized by their fixed shape, fixed volume, high density, uncompressible nature, high intermolecular force of attraction, and very less intermolecular spaces. So that is how we recognize a solid. Then if you are watching a solid from the outside, there is no difference. But On the basis of inner arrangement of these constituent particles, solids are classified into two different categories. One is called amorphous solid and other is called crystalline solid. Now, as I told you that if you look from the outside, if an amorphous solid is kept over here and a crystalline solid is kept here and you are watching from the outside, you cannot differentiate it. But from the inner point of view, from the inner structure point of view, they are different. This classification of solids is done on the basis of arrangement of these constituent particles which is present inside the solid. In crystalline solids, all constituent particles, they are arranged in a perfect geometrical arrangement. They have got a short range order as well as a long range order. If we take a small part of this crystalline solid, there is a geometrical arrangement of these constituent particles, and if you take large part of that solid, same geometrical pattern is repeated or same geometrical pattern is extended. But this is not the case in case of amorphous solid. Here constituent particles are randomly arranged and they don't have any ordered arrangement. If at all, if we can find out any order, then that is only visible to a small range. So they have got a short range order, but no long range order is present. So this is the main point of difference between a amorphous solid and a crystalline solids. Constituent particles are perfectly ordered. They have got an orderly arrangement. They have got a short range order. They have got a long range order. And in case of amorphous solids, constituent particles are randomly arranged. They only have got some short range order. Its constituent particles of amorphous solids, they seems just like watching at the sky, a sky filled with stars. There are thousands of stars which are visible. They don't have any pattern, but at some part of it, at your own you can find out some pattern, but it's not repeated. But in case of crystalline solids, all constituent particles are arranged in a definite geometrical pattern. So this is the major point of difference between an amorphous solid and a crystalline solid. These crystalline solids are anisotropic, while amorphous solids are isotropic. In case of amorphous solids, certain physical properties, if they are measured from the different directions, their magnitudes comes out to be same. But in case of crystalline solids, their magnitudes are different. Physical properties measured from the different directions give different magnitudes. This is called anisotropy. And substances which exhibit this property, substances which shows this characteristic, they are called anisotropic substances. While in case of amorphous solids, in amorphous solids, physical properties like refractive index, like density, if they are measured from different directions, values comes out to be same. And this type of substances for which physical properties measured from the different directions has got same value, they are called isotropic substances, and this property is called as isotropy. They have got sharp melting points and they melt at a range of temperature. For crystalline solids, they melt at a particular temperature. There is a definite geometrical arrangement. Definite amount of energy is required to break their lattice. So when this definite amount of energy is supplied, their crystal lattice is broken and they forms a crystalline solid. They have got a sharp melting point. Say for example, a crystalline substance melts at a temperature of 120 degrees Celsius. But in case of amorphous solids, since these constituent particles, they are not arranged orderly. There are certain particles which are present at a closer distance. There are certain particles which are at farther distances to each other. Thereby what happens? The forces of attraction that are operating between them also, they are also different. And as a result of which what happens? Different amount of energies are required and they melts at a range of temperature. Say for example, there is a crystalline solid X, so that melts at sharp 120 degrees Celsius. But on the other hand, if I have got an amorphous solid Y, so that will start melting at 120 degree and will completely melt at say for example at 127 degrees Celsius or 130 degrees Celsius. So they melts over a range of temperature. They have got fixed heat of fusion. Their heat of fusions are not fixed. These crystalline solids are also called as true solids, and these amorphous solids are called as pseudo solids. What is meaning of pseudo? False. So they are not considered as true solids because they retains fluidity. What is the meaning of fluidity? Yes, property to flow. If we see old buildings, glass window panes are thicker at their bottom and they are thinner at the top side. Why? Glass is an amorphous solid. Particles of glass, they have got the property to flow. It is a pseudo solid. Pseudo solid means if you see a glass, then it has got a fixed shape and fixed volume by virtue of which we have kept it in the category of a solid. But under the influence of gravity, particles of glass, they flow and collect at the bottom, as a result of which the lower part of that window pane becomes thick and upper part is thin. So they are called as pseudo solids. So I am quite sure you have understood. I think you have already understood. We had reminded what is the solid and how it is classified. What is the meaning of term isotropic, anisotropic, isotropy and anisotropy. Now these crystalline solids, now they themselves are classified into 4 different categories, and this classification is based on nature of constituent, particle and nature of intermolecular forces. whatsoever constituent particle is present, what is its nature? Whether it is a molecule, whether it is an atom, whether it is an ion, and what is the nature of forces? What are the different type of forces that operates between the different molecules? Van der Waals forces, dipole-dipole interaction, electrostatic forces of attraction, hydrogen bond, induced dipole interactions. These are the different type of intermolecular forces that operate between different type of molecules. So on the basis of these two parameters, crystalline solids are classified as 1. Molecular solids, next ionic solids, 3. Covalent or network solids, and 4. Metallic solids. So as the name indicating here, in molecular solids constituent particles are molecules. In ionic solids constituent particles are ions. In covalent solids constituent particles are atoms, and in metallic solids M plus means cation of metal and electrons are the constituent particles. Now depending on the nature of molecule present here, it could be a non-polar molecule, so the intermolecular forces are van der Waals. If it is a polar molecule, then intermolecular forces are dipole-dipole interaction. If the nature of molecule is H bonded, then hydrogen bond is the intermolecular force. Now in these ionic compounds, positive and negatively charged ions are the constituent particles, and obviously these oppositely charged ions are attracted towards each other with the help of electrostatic force of attraction. In covalent or network solids, constituent particles are atoms, and these atoms are joined with each other with the help of covalent bond. And again in metallic solids, constituent particles are the positively charged metal atom. Here there is a sea of electron, and in this sea of electron, these positively charged ions are immersed or arranged in a definite geometrical pattern. This is sea of electrons. So obviously again constituent particles are two different oppositely charged ions, so nature of forces are Coulombic forces of attraction or electrostatic forces of attraction. So after discussing it, I had discussed that what is crystal lattice and what is unit cell. Crystal lattice and unit cell. Now when we are talking about this crystal lattice and unit cell, this is only related with crystalline solids. In amorphous solids, definite geometrical pattern is not observed, so there is no lattice actually. Verbal meaning of lattice is an arrangement, is a net, a web. Definite of three-dimensional geometrical arrangement of constituent particles of a solid is called a crystal lattice or simply lattice. And is smallest three-dimensional part of this lattice, which when extended along x, y and z planes and it generates the entire lattice, then it is called a unit cell. So a unit cell is the smallest three-dimensional arrangement of constituent particles, which is also called points, which when extended along x, y and z planes generates entire lattice is called a unit cell. Now these unit cells are classified on the basis of two parameters. They can be classified on the basis of edge lengths A, B and C and interfacial angles alpha, beta and gamma. So this line which I thickened here, these are the edge lengths and they are represented by A, B and C, and these angles between them is written as alpha, beta and gamma. So these are the parameters on the basis of which these unit cells are classified. First, this is first parameter, and on the basis of this there are 7 type of cells. There are 7 type of unit cells: cubic, rhombohedral, monoclinic, triclinic, orthogonal, etc. They can also be classified on the basis of position of points or constituent particles. This term point refers to the constituent particle, whether it is an atom or it is a molecule or it is a ion. So on the basis of constituent particles, on the basis of position of constituent particles, they are classified, these unit cells are classified into 2 categories: basic or primitive and non-primitive or centered unit cell. In basic or primitive unit cell, constituent particles are only present at the corners, and in non-primitive unit cells additional particles are also present. In non-primitive or centered unit cell, constituent particles are present at the corners, as well as some additional points are also present either at the faces or at 2 faces or in the body center of unit cell. And on the basis of this, these non-primitive unit cells could be body centered, could be face centered, or it could be end centered. And out of all those type of different unit cells that are present, that are known as on date, we are only, in our course, we have only one type of unit cell, that is called cubic unit cell, for which A is equal to B is equal to C and alpha is equal to beta is equal to gamma is equal to 90 degree. So only cubic unit cell is in our course, and all these 7 type of unit cells which are known on the basis of this, all the type of this unit cells which are known on the basis of position of points, total 14 different type of lattices are known, and these 14 type of different lattices are called as Brebis lattices on the basis of their discoverer. Existence of these lattices were actually predicted by a French mathematician Auguste Brevis in 1854. That is much before than their actual discovery, and he said that only these 14 different type of lattices are possible. Now we come to the close packing of spheres. In simplified terms, we can understand close packing of spheres as the formation of a lattice. How these constituent particles give rise to the entire crystal lattice. And as I told you, a crystal lattice is actually a three-dimensional structure, and the formation of a three-dimensional starts from one dimension. So, in order to understand actual three-dimensional structure of points, we need to understand theoretical one-dimensional structure and two-dimensional structure. In 1D structure, and again before going to the details of this close packing of spheres, we should keep two things in our mind, that constituent particles are treated as hard spheres. It is presumed that these are the hard spheres, like the balls of glass that children used to play in this way. They are treated as hard spheres, and they try to accommodate maximum space available. So first, these hard spheres are kept one by one in the side by side so that to get a one-dimensional close packing. Then we get a 2D packing. This 2D packing is of two types. One is called square close packing and other is called hexagonal close packing. This square close packing, when extended in 3 dimensions, gives rise to simple cubic lattice, and from hexagonal close packing, this hexagonal close packed 2D structure, there could be an AB lattice which is called hexagonal cubic close packing, and there could be a ABC type packing which is called cubic close packing, CCP. So up to this, apart from this, I had explained you the density formula. D is given equal to Z into capital M upon A cube into Na, where D represents the density of unit cell, Z represents the number of particles that are present in unit cell, M represents molecular mass, A represents edge length, and Na represents the Avogadro's constant or Avogadro's number. Now this A is actually determined experimentally using X-ray crystallography or electron diffraction study, and density can be calculated. Density of unit cell is same to that of density of substance. So out of these 5 parameters which are shown here, if 4 are known, then fifth can be calculated easily. So this is what I had told you as on date, and with this revision I am quite sure that you would have properly understood. Now I request all of you to go through your NCERT book, try to solve some problems based on these concepts, and from our next lecture onwards I will move forward to tell you about crystal imperfections or defects in crystals. Thank you.